Welcome, friends. My name's Chris. I'm from Transformation Nation Yoga and Wellness. And in today's gentle vinyasa practice, we're going to do a side bending practice. And we're going to be focusing on opening up the side planes of the body. Now, the goal will be to open those areas of the body generally, but I'm interested specifically in a couple of muscles that can be habitual tension and pain points for people. So I'll talk about those a little bit more during the practice. What I think you'll need to be safe, to enjoy, and to get the most out of your practice are a sticky yoga mat, such as what I have behind me here, one or two foam or cork yoga blocks. Another tool that I think might be good for this practice, I'm going to use a little wooden stool to help with some balance. A folding chair or even a kitchen chair, if it's fairly lightweight, can do the same function for you. If you're super flexy and bendy, you may not need the stool or the chair. I'm going to give you two options. The stool or the chair is much more, it's almost essential for one option, but there'll be another option that you can do without the use of that tool at all. So pause your recording, roll out your mat, gather up your props, and when you're ready, press play, and I'll meet you on your mat for this gentle vinyasa side bending practice. And for today, friends, I'm going to have you start on your back. This is not going to be a yin yoga practice, but we're going to do some yin movements in this gentle vinyasa practice. As you get there, use good, I don't care how you do it, I care that you use good body mechanics. For me, that looks like bending the knees, hands behind the thighs, generally gently laying my way down, and then lengthen your legs out long, reach your arms out over your head, and create even more space between the tips of your fingers and the heels. So maybe flex the toes back towards your face, lots of space and length, and then start to walk your feet over to your right. You might visualize the hands on a clock moving. When you get to the point where your left hip point starts to lift up off the earth, that's probably plenty far enough. And then walk your arms over to the right as well. So we're trying to make a banana or a crescent moon shape here. Same thing. So when that left shoulder starts to lift up off the earth, that's far enough. And feel for a sense of length along the side planes of the body. So from the pinky edge blade of your left foot all the way up to the tip of your left pinky finger, but especially probably around the lower back and hip. And you're fine right where you are. Start to lengthen out your breath. But if you wanted to add more sensation, two things you could do. You could cross your left ankle over your right, and you could take your right, probably thumb and middle finger, loop them around your left wrist, and drag your left arm any amount further over to the right. If the hips and the shoulders started to lift, see if you can let gravity draw them back down toward the earth. In traditional Chinese medicine, the side planes of the body are associated with gallbladder meridian. And the acquired emotion that's associated with dysfunction or a lack of balance in the gallbladder meridian is the emotion of anger. It's been a struggle for me throughout my life, and I know it's a struggle for many people. So, do I believe that there are specific emotions associated with specific parts of the body? I don't know. So that's what traditional Chinese medicine says. I feel like I've got some anecdotal experience in my life that leads me to believe that emotions do get stuck in the body if we don't process them. But I can't specifically associate anger with the side plane of my body. Right? If you've taken a grip on your left wrist, release that left wrist. If you've crossed your left ankle over your right, uncross, come back to center, find a second full body stretch. And then we're going to change sides. Walk your legs over to the left, walk your arms over to the left as well. Same landmarks. When those parts of the body start to lift up, the right shoulder and the right hip, that's far enough. Same options to cross your right ankle over your left. Same option to loop your left thumb and middle finger around your right wrist. But here's what I know specifically. We have some habitual pain points associated with the side planes of the body that if we don't do anything to correct the tissue dysfunctions can cause people daily pain, sometimes debilitating pain. As I understand Vinyasa yoga, my best 2024 understanding is that the practice is designed to take us through to help us articulate quite specific movements of the body to articulate, mobilize, and stabilize during a full range of motions of the human body. This will be a balanced practice that includes those other parts of the body, but we're going to be really specifically focused on the side planes. So if you're feeling especially more sensation now on the hip of the lower back, there's a muscle there that we're trying to stretch out right now. And we'll come back to this later, but for now, uncross your right ankle, release your right wrist, come back to center, find a third full body stretch, even more space between the tips of your fingers and your heels. And then maybe one knee at a time, draw your knees in towards your chest. Catch the shins with the hands, give yourself a nice squeeze. Maybe even lift your chin up towards your knees, rock from side to side. The breath now in through the nose and out through the nose. And see if you can construct the whisper muscles at the base of the throat and find an ocean wave sound of the breath. And the goal will be to maintain this until we're in our final resting shape. Right. If you chose to rock from side to side, come back to center, lower your feet down to the earth, and then roll over onto one side, press yourself up, and we're going to make our way into a tabletop position. So from this quadruped position, float your shoulders over your wrists, hips over your knees. You're getting compression in the wrist, no problem. Just walk the hands a little further, create a more favorable angle. Keep the back of the head buoyant. Sometimes here there's a tendency to let the chin and the forehead collapse toward the earth. Resist that. So we don't want the head lifted for now, but in line with the back of the heart. And we're going to go through some cat rolling. So on an inhale, maybe tuck your toes, but drop your belly down toward the earth. Hands and elbows are shoulder width apart. Shift your gaze forward. Find a muscular engagement as if you were dragging the heels of your hands back toward your knees. And then exhale, press into your hands, untuck your toes, press into your shins, pop the space between your shoulder blades up toward the stars. So the cues here on an inhale, drop your belly, open your heart. On an exhale, round through your shoulders. And move through this at least 4 more times at the cadence and the pace of your own breath. So that area of the lower back and side bending, there is a stabilizing muscle called the quadratus lumborum. Would it be expedient, we could just say the QL, that tends to get overengaged for lots of bodies. And the typical pattern is it gets tight and overengaged on one side and a little loosey-goosey and underengaged on the other side. And although asymmetry is not uncommon in the human body, this particular asymmetry the body doesn't like. So sometimes debilitating pain. After 6 rounds of this cat rolling, come back into center. Back of the head is buoyant in line with the back of your heart. Shift your left knee and leg to the center of your mat. Step your right leg back, come up onto the ball of your right foot. And then start pressing your hips over to the right. Shift your gaze back over your left shoulder. Maybe all the way so that you can see that right foot. You guys may have much more flexy, bendy bodies than me. This may come much more naturally. And again, look for a sense of length along the right side of the body, especially hip and lower back. Breathe, breathing the whole time. Then on an inhale, come back into center. And we're going to do this movement one more time. Exhale, press your hips over to the right, shift your gaze over to the left. So, like, there's like 3 or 4 soft tissue culprits that contribute to lower back pain. But the QL is it's the easiest one to open up once we know that it's causing the problem. So for some clients, just sharing some side bending stretches help them go from being in pain every day to being able to move powerfully. Your next inhale, come back into center, drop your right knee back down, maybe to the center of your mat. Step your left leg back, come up onto the ball of that left foot, start pressing your hips over to the left, shift your gaze over your right shoulder. So there are also some things that we can do. Um, like if the goal was to have lower back pain from the QL, there's some pretty predictable movements that we can do to create that pain. So knowing that means we can avoid them. So side sleepers, people that sleep on one side and not the other, that's one thing that can cause the QL to be overengaged on one side. Like slouching, sitting on the couch, slouching off to one side, that can cause that dysfunction. Sometimes our jobs are the source. On an inhale, come back into center. One more time. Exhale, press your hips over to the left, shift your gaze over to the right. So I was a state park police officer for almost a decade, and wearing that tactical belt for 10 to 12 hours a day, 5 days a week for 9 years, with all the heavy ass tactical tools on one side of the duty belt and all the light administrative tools on the other, I think was a source of lower back pain for me. Come back into center. Lower your left knee down to the earth, and then walk your hands to your knees. Now, start lifting yourself up. I'm going to change positions. You guys may or may not change positions. I'm going to face you just to demonstrate. Float your head over your shoulders, over your hips, over your knees, and then step your right leg out to the right. Come onto that right hand. Press the pinky edge blade of that right foot down to the earth. Maybe a block under your left hand. And then on an inhale, sweep your arm up over your head. And then start to find the side bending movement over to your left. So this is gate pose. Right, press the pinky edge blade of your right foot more firmly down into the earth. Maybe drop the fingers of your right hand further over to the left. Maybe play with the rotation of your hand and see what gives you the most sensation in the side body. Does that make a difference? And do something that's comfortable for your neck. All right, your next inhale, come back up to center, drop your right hand down by your right thigh, pull your left arm up toward the stars. For my body, I don't have a flexy, bendy body. This is going to be a subtle movement. But start letting your right hand walk down your right leg. Drop your left hand over to the right and feel for a sense of opening and stretch along the left hand plane of the body. Breathe. Oh, I wanted to mention this too, so I don't forget. As we warm the body with sun salutations today, we're going to start with sun salutations A, which are fairly gentle, but I'm also going to add a round of classical sun salutations, which are not gentle at all. So if we start those and those don't feel good, you can continue doing the sun salutation A the whole time. On your next inhale, come back up to full extension, and then exhale, slice your hands down through heart center, drop your right knee down to the earth, step your left leg out to the side, gate pose on the second side, so the toes are pointing at 12 o'clock toward the top edge of your mat, maybe a block under your right hand. Inhale, sweep your left arm up toward the stars. Exhale, press the pinky edge blade of your left foot more firmly down into the earth. And then drop your left hand further over to the right. What kind of subtle little movements can you make here that maybe open up more space on the left hand plane of your body? Breathe. So emotions in the body. In yoga, often they say like the hips, difficult emotions often get stored in the hips. And so I know a lot of yoga practitioners who in deep hip opening say they have a deep emotional release, and I believe them. That's not been my experience. Okay, on your next inhale, come back up to center, drop your left hand down your left leg, start lowering your right arm over to the left. Left hand comes further down that left leg. In your body, this may be a much more gross movement than in mine, a much bigger movement than in mine. In my body, this is fairly subtle. Whereas for me, heart opening poses, if I'm gonna have like an ugly cry that's initiated from a yoga session, it's not going to happen from hip opening. For me, it's going to happen from heart opening. But I will say during the last couple of years of my marriage, it's a difficult time in my life. I frequently had lower back pain that I figured out pretty late in the game was related to the QL, the quadratus lumborum. So is that unprocessed anger? Was it grief? I have no idea, but I do think there's a possibility that there's some correlation. Continue to breathe. On your next inhale, come back up to center. Exhale, slice your hands down through heart center. Drop your left knee over to your right. Again, I'm going to change positions just for demonstration purposes. Bring your hands down to the earth. Walk yourself forward. Modified high plank. Shoulders floating over your wrists. With the hands and the elbows shoulder width apart, gently lower yourself down. And we're going to come into Sphinx pose. So slide your elbows forward so your shoulders float over your elbows. Index fingers at 12 o'clock. Make the shape of the number 11 with your forearms. Walk your legs long behind you, and then press into the tops of your feet till your knees lift. Press the knuckle of the index finger and thumb into the earth. Soften your belly, and then find a muscular engagement of dragging your elbows back toward your waist. As if you could, the weight of your body will keep them from physically moving, but engage the muscles like you are trying to crawl forward. And breathe. The cueing today is going to be very predictable and formulaic. You've probably already seen the pattern, but listen for cues related to how to open up more space on the side planes of your body. Inhale right here. Exhale. Draw your hands under your shoulders. Release your heart down to the earth. And then hands under your shoulders. Tuck your toes under your feet. Inhale right here. Exhale. Press up and back into the first downward facing dog of your practice. Find some movement in the lower body. Maybe pedal your feet out. Dropping one heel toward the earth behind you as you let the opposite knee come forward and drop down toward the earth. Take a look at your hands, like your hands shoulder width apart, elbows shoulder width apart, and then find some stillness. Let gravity draw your heels down toward the earth. They probably won't touch. Mine never will. That's okay. Press down into your index, knuckle, and thumb. Drag your elbows another 2 inches closer toward the earth, and then tweeze the elbows slightly together. Feel for muscular engagement under the armpit and relax your neck. Breathe. 5 breaths in this first downward facing dog. 2 more. On an inhale, bend your knees, look forward. To exhale, take as many steps as you need. Come up to the top edge of your mat, feet hip distance apart, and hang forward. Shift the weight into the balls of the feet, relax the neck, and you could grab opposite elbows and sway. You could interlace your hands at the base of your skull, but totally relax your neck like there was a weight on the crown of your head drawing it down toward the earth. Maybe gently sway from side to side.
So weight, 70% of the weight in the feet and the balls of the feet, 30% of the heels. So heels not lifted, but just light. And then we're going to reverse this. Come back into stillness, release your hands down to the earth, heel toe your feet together. Shift the weight into your heels. 30% in the balls of the feet, 70% of the heels. Find a halfway lift, flat shape of your back, maybe a generous bend in the knees. Hands could be on your shins or your thighs. Exhale, forward fold. Weight in the balls of the feet again. Now shift, weight in the heels. Inhale, slowly come up to standing. Sweep your arms up over your head. Exhale, slice your hands down into heart center. Thumbs at your sternum. Set a soft gaze at the tips of your fingers. What is the intention of your practice for today? Guys, stay right there. I'm going to change positions just for demonstration here. On an inhale, sweep your fingers up toward the stars. Lift your gaze. Look at your hands. Create all the space that you can between the tips of your fingers and your heels. And then on an exhale, drop your hips over to the left, hands over to the right. And if you can, this is going to be hard to do without a mirror, but square your hips and shoulders to the top edge of your mat. Create even more space along the left plane of your body. And then as you inhale, come back up to center, lift up through the tips of the fingers again. Exhale, drop the hands over to the left, press your hips over to the right. On your next inhale, come back up to center. Maybe lift your gaze, look at your hands. Maybe even take a little back bend, press the hips forward. Exhale, hinge through your hips, come into a forward fold. Inhale, find a halfway lift. And then as you exhale, step back into a tabletop, a high plank. High plank. I said tabletop, I meant high plank. A high push-up position. You could also lower the knees into a modified high plank. Both of those actions are right. Hands and elbow shoulder width apart. Press down into your index knuckle and thumb. Drag your belly button toward your spine. Back of the head is buoyant, in line with the back of your heart, rather than letting the forehead collapse down toward the earth. Back of the head is buoyant. And the knees up or down on your next exhale. Hands and elbows stay shoulder width apart. Come all the way down to your belly. Now, options to open the heart here. You could do the Sphinx we did before, or hands under your shoulders. Peel your heart up off the earth. Press the tops of your feet into the earth. Drag the heels of your hands back towards your waist. Squeeze the elbows into center. Easy cobra. Exhale, lower your heart down to the earth. Hands under your shoulders. Press up and back to downward facing dog. On an inhale, bend your knees. Look forward. Exhale, move to the top edge of your mat. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise. Come all the way up to standing. Exhale, drop your hips off to the left. Hands drop over to the right. Inhale, come back up to center. Exhale, press your hips over to the right. Hands drop over to the left. Side bend. Inhale, come back up to center. Maybe take a little back bend. Exhale, forward fold. On an inhale, find a halfway lift. Exhale, any version of high plank. High plank, modified high plank. Inhale here. Exhale, lower your heart down to the earth. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, downward facing dog. On an inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, move to the top edge of your mat. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise. Exhale, drop your hands off to the right, hips press over to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, side bend on the other side. Inhale, center. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, high plank. Inhale and high plank. Exhale, lower your heart down to the earth. Inhale, open your heart. You could do it upward facing dog here if you like as well. Exhale, downward facing dog. On an inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, move to the top edge of your mat. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise. We're going to transition to classical sun salutations. Exhale, slice your hands down into heart center. Inhale, lift your fingers up toward the stars. Exhale, take a side bend to the right, just one side for now. Inhale, come back up to center. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. As you exhale, hands down to the mat. Step your left leg back. Rise into crescent warrior. So coming up on the ball of your left foot, lift the heel. Hands could be on that right shin. Could be at heart center. Or lift your fingertips, warrior one in the arms. Spiral the pinky fingers into center. And you can stay right here or palms together. Take a side bend to your right. Inhale, come back up into center. Exhale, hands down to the mat, step back into high plank. Inhale in high plank, knees up or down. Exhale, low plank. Inhale, maybe upward facing dog, shoulders floating over your wrist, hips draped toward the earth, tops of your feet press into the earth. Exhale, downward facing dog. On an inhale, lift your left heel up toward the heavens. Exhale, step it forward, rise into crescent warrior. Come up onto the ball of that right foot. All those options that you had on the other side, you have here as well. Only if the arms are lifted up overhead. Inhale right here. Exhale, option to bring the palms of the hands together. Take a side bend to the left. Inhale, lift up to center. Transition is going to be to forward fold. Exhale, slice your hands down to heart center. Step your right foot forward. Forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise. Come all the way up to standing. Exhale, hands to heart center. Side bend will be to the left from standing this time. Inhale, sweep your arms up over your head. Exhale, drop the hands off to the left. Press the hips over to the right. Inhale, rise back up into center. Exhale, forward fold. We stepped the left leg back last time. It'll be right foot this time. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the earth. Step your right leg back. Rise into a crescent warrior. Inhale as you rise. Exhale, option to take a side bend to your left. Inhale, come up to center. Exhale, hands down to the earth. Step back into high plank. Inhale in high plank. Exhale, low plank. Inhale, any heart opener of your choice. Exhale, downward facing dog. On an inhale, lift your right heel up toward the heavens. Exhale, step forward, rise into a crescent warrior. Option here to take a side bend to the right. Next transition will be to forward fold. Inhale, come back up to center. Exhale, thumbs to sternum. Step your right foot forward. Forward fold. Two more. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise. Exhale, drop your hands off to the right, hips over to the left. Inhale, come back up to center. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, step your left leg back. Rise into a crescent warrior. Side bend to the right as an option. Rise up to center, high plank. Inhale in high plank. Exhale, low plank. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale your left heel up toward the heavens. Exhale, rise, crescent warrior. Option to take a side bend to the left. Inhale, come back up to center. Exhale, make your way into a forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise. Exhale, side bend to your left. Inhale, rise up to center. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, step your right leg back. Rise into a crescent warrior. Maybe take a side bend to the left. Inhale, rise. Exhale, high plank. Inhale in your high plank. Exhale, low plank. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, downward facing dog. We got one more and we're going to move on. On an inhale, lift your right heel up toward the heavens. Exhale, step your right leg forward. Rise up into a crescent warrior. Side bend to the right. Inhale, come back up to center. This time, instead of stepping forward, transition is going to be back to high plank. Exhale, high plank. Inhale in high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Re-engage into the index, knuckle, and thumb. Relax your neck again. Press your chest and belly toward your thighs. Thighs press toward your chest and belly. Draw a deep, deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, let it go. Oh. One more time. Deepest breath of your day so far today through your nose. Open your mouth, let it go with a ah sound. On an inhale, lift your right heel up toward the heavens. As you exhale, step your right leg forward, tap your left knee down. Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Maybe walk your left knee a little bit further back behind you. Press the top of your left foot into the earth. Hands could be on blocks. They could be on that right thigh. Or float your fingers up toward the stars, warrior one arms. Engage more with that left glute. Let your hips drop further forward toward that right heel. And stay right here. We'll take a side bend to your right. Inhale, come back up to center. This is going to be a little bit strange. Open up into a variation so you've got like warrior two arms. So right fingers of your right hand float forward toward 12 o'clock in your mat. Left arm the best that you can back behind you. And then on an inhale, flip your right palm, let it draw you forward. And exhale, come back into a modified peaceful warrior. Left hand down your left thigh, maybe down your left calf. Drop your right hand back behind you, opening up space from the pinky edge blade of your right finger to your right hip. Breathe. Maybe drop your hips any amount further forward toward that right heel. Inhale, come back into warrior two arms. Exhale, modified extended side angle. Right elbow on the inside of the right inner thigh. Maybe left hand on your hip or lower back. And spiral your left rib cage out. So maybe visualize pressing the back of your head, the back of your heart into a wall behind you. Or float the fingers of your left hand up toward the heavens. Find a sense of ease in the neck rather than tons of tension in the neck here. And then on your next inhale, come forward again, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, hands down to the earth, tuck the toes on your left foot. Step your right leg back, high plank or modified high plank, low plank. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, downward facing dog. On an inhale, float your left heel up toward the heavens. Exhale, step it forward, drop your right knee, Anjaneyasana. Once again, maybe walk your right knee further back behind you. Option to have the hands on the mat, on blocks, the thigh, or warrior one in the arms. But from any position, really engage in that right glute like you were trying to pinch a golf ball. And let your hips drop forward toward that left heel. And stay right here, or take a side bend to your left. Inhale, rise up to center. Exhale, some semblance of warrior two arms here. Depending on the openness of your torso and your shoulder, your right arm may not be pointing directly back behind you. That's okay. Inhale, flip your left palm, let it draw you forward. Exhale, modified peaceful warrior. Lift the fingers of your left hand further up. Press them further back behind you. Inhale, spiral up into Anjaneyasana. As you were actually. Warrior two arms again. Drop your left elbow to your left inner thigh. Maybe right hand to your right back or hip. Maybe right hand floats up toward the stars. And here, again, I don't have a flexi bendy body, so I like to press that left elbow into my left inner thigh and spiral my heart open any amount more. So we're going to do the same sequence a second time and add on to it, but it'll be breath for breath into the last pose. Inhale, come forward into Anjaneyasana. Exhale, any version of a high plank. Inhale in high plank. Exhale, low plank. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, downward facing dog. On an inhale, lift your right heel up toward the stars. Exhale, step it forward, drop your left knee down. Rise into a low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Press your hips over to the right. Drop your hands over to the left. Inhale, come back up into center. Find warrior two arms here. Inhale, flip your right palm, come forward, back, modified peaceful warrior. Inhale, warrior two arms, extended side angle pose. And the transition here is going to be to a modified side plank. Inhale right here. Exhale, bring your left hand down to the earth, 2 or 3 inches in front of your left shoulder. We're going to step this whole right leg back, pivot on that left knee to bring that left knee back behind you. Find space and length along the right plane of the body first, and then you can float the fingers of your right hand either up toward the heavens or bring that right arm forward over the right edge of your mat. Again, maybe play with the spiral and the orientation of the fingers on that right hand. Press the pinky edge blade of your right foot down into the earth even more opening on the right plane of the body. Inhale right here. Exhale, drop your right hand, right knee down to the earth. Modified high plank, modified low plank. Inhale, any heart opener of your choice. Exhale, downward facing dog. On an inhale, lift your left heel up toward the heavens. Exhale, step it forward. Anjaneyasana. Inhale here, exhale, press your hips over to the left, drop your hands over to the right. Inhale, rise up to center. Exhale, warrior two on the arms, modified warrior two. Inhale, modified peaceful warrior. Exhale, modified extended side angle. Inhale and modified extended side angle. Exhale, drop your right hand down to the mat, 2 or 3 inches in front of the shoulder. Step your left leg back behind you, pivot on that right knee. Maybe the left hand floats up toward the heavens. Maybe you drop it over your head toward the earth. Press down into the pinky edge blade of your left foot more. Find more space and opening on the left side of your body. Inhale. Exhale, modified high plank, modified low plank. Open your heart. Downward facing dog. And then on an inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, move to the top edge of your mat. I'm going to change positions just to demonstrate. If you've got a chair or a stool and you plan to use that, this would be a good time to have it staged. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise. Exhale, slice your hands down into heart center. Then you can relax your hands, maybe shake the hands out. Take your left foot, step it across the front plane of your body in front of your right leg. Come on to the pinky edge blade of your left foot. And just walk it a little further over to the right. So you can stay right here. You can fold forward on the hips. Or if you choose to use a stool, you can walk that left leg a little further over to the right. Maybe walk your right leg back behind you. But we're trying to open up the side body on the left-hand side of that thigh. In particular, there's a muscle called the rectus femoris. And this is a hip flexor, but it's also a quad. It's unique in that way to my knowledge. And it's really hard to get into. And it's pretty common for it to be overengaged. So you can do this with just a forward fold with crossed ankles, but it's just a little bit more subtle. All right, so if you've got the stool, start with the left leg, get the left leg center, start walking that right leg back up across. If you're folded forward, start to lift yourself up and then step your left foot across the side plane of your body. Change sides. Step across your right foot in front of your left, come up under the pinky edge blade of your right foot, and then gently walk that right foot further to the left. Inhale here and fold forward over crossed ankles, or hands on that stool. This looks awkward. This is super awkward. So if it feels awkward for you, that's sort of expected. If you choose this, walk your right foot further to the left, maybe even step your left foot further to the right. So I've got a physical therapy routine I've done on an almost daily basis. I might miss 4 days a year over the past 4 years for a prosthetic hip and some injuries to my lower back. For the hip in particular, a couple of the movements that I do really overengage that rectus femoris, and it's a tough place for me to loosen up. All right, whatever version of this you're in, bring yourself back into center. On an inhale, float your arms up over your head. Exhale, find a forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, step back into a high plank. Tap your knees down to the earth. And then side saddle your legs off to the side with good body mechanics. Come onto your back. Whatever that looks like. Grab a block if you have one. Place it in between your inner thighs as close to the pubic bone as you can. and then squeeze the block. Interlace your hands at the base of your skull. Hands will be supporting, not pulling on the neck. So on an inhale, squeeze the block. My mom would say, squeeze the pudding out of it. Squeeze the block. Throw your belly button to your sternum. Exhale, lift your head, neck, and shoulders. Inhale, squeeze the block. Drag your belly button towards your spine. Exhale, lift your head, neck, and shoulders higher. Inhale, squeeze the pudding out of that block. Draw your belly button towards your spine. Exhale, lift your head, neck, and shoulders as high as you can. And then pulse up toward the heavens for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay lifted. And then keep squeezing that block, but lower your head, neck, and shoulders down to the earth. Maybe relax around the block just for a breath. Inhale, squeeze the block. Drag your belly button towards your spine. Exhale, lift your head, neck, and shoulders. Inhale, squeeze the block. Drag your belly button towards your spine. Exhale, lift your head, neck, and shoulders. Inhale, squeeze the block. Drag your belly button towards your spine. Lift your head, neck, and shoulders as high as you can, and then pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay lifted for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then with control, lower your head, neck, and shoulder. Release the block, set that off to the side. Maybe find a full body stretch. And then put a bend in your knees, rest the soles of your feet on the earth. Take a visual look. Confirm knees and feet are both hip distance apart. And then hook the pinky edge blade of your right foot on the outside of your left knee. So we're going into Nautilus pose. One of two options. Action will be the same. So least sensation, left hand to your right shin, just below the knee. Start to use that left hand, draw your right knee across the chest. It won't literally cross, probably. Mine certainly won't. But any amount closer toward that left shoulder. Here's option one, right? For more sensation, eagle legs. Wrap your right knee over the left, walk your hips a little bit to the right, lift both knees as if you were trying to touch yourself in the chin, and the same action, left hand to right shin, drag that right knee down toward the left shoulder. Right side plane of the body. Primary sensation here is probably the IT band, the outside of that right thigh. This is actually a piriformis stretch. That just happens to be part of the range, but this is a muscle that attaches, I think it's to the upper trochanter at the top of the thigh and wraps all the way around into the sacrum. Breathe, breathing the whole time. And then lower your left foot down to the earth. Come back to that position, that um, modified figure four. Pinky edge blade of your right foot hooked on the outside of your left thigh. Two options for thread of the needle. One is take your right palm on the inside of that right thigh, anywhere below the knee, straighten your right arm, press it forward. Or for more sensation, release the arm, look between the legs, lift the left knee toward the chin, thread your right hand into that little triangle shape, relax the back of your head and neck down to the earth, flex all 10 toes, use the muscles on your right leg to press that right knee forward toward the top edge of your mat. Use the muscles in your arms to drag your left knee back towards your chin. Push, pull.
I call that a modified figure four. What I meant was supine figure four. To be relevant, because not only do we have the other side, but we got one more pose that we're going to do that we're going to use that as the base for. So release your thread the needle, lower your left foot down to the earth, but maintain the supine figure four. See your arms out to the side. Press into your left foot, walk your hips over to the left, and then drop your left knee and the sole of your right foot down into the earth. Maybe shift your gaze out over the fingers of your right hand. No muscular engagement required here. So if you find yourself tensing up anywhere, see if you can release that. And this twisting sensation here, you may feel it in the abdomen, but I want you to think about where are you feeling this on the right plane of your body. All right, so we're going to do this sequence of nautilus pose, thread the needle, and this modification of a twist on the other side as well. And then we got one more pose before we go into our rest. So shift your gaze back up toward the stars. Lift your right knee, right foot, left knee back up at the center. Release your right foot down to the earth. Sole of the foot flat on the earth. Hook the pinky edge blade of your left foot on the outside of your right thigh. Either version of nautilus pose. I'm going to do this from eagle legs, but this common factor here is right hand on the left shin below the knee and dragging that left knee down toward the right shoulder, any amount. On a scale of sensation from 0, where you felt nothing, to 10, which would be excruciating, you'd be compelled to move. Look for something here around the range of 6 or 7. Release your left shin, lower your right foot down to the earth. Come back to our supine figure 4, either version of thread the needle with the feet on the earth, or lift your right knee towards your right shoulder, press your left knee forward toward the top edge of your mat. Both versions are right, correct, doing it appropriately. Release your thread the needle. Come back to supine figure 4. See your arms out to the side. Walk your hips over to the left. Drop your right knee and your left foot down to the earth. Maybe shift your gaze over your left shoulder with the fingers of your left hand. So to try to close the loop on the physical theme for this class of side bending, I don't know what the relationship is between the tissues on the side planes of the body and emotions that could get stuck in the body. I do think that's possible, but I don't have any evidence to back that up. And the particular emotions that have been taught to me as being stored in the side planes of the body are not particularly my experience of where I end up having pain cause. Shift your gaze back to neutral, come back up onto the ball of your right foot, release your left foot, and then roll over onto your right side. And from here, find a modified side plank on the right. So come onto your right forearm with your right shoulder floating over your right elbow, left leg stacked on top of the right. Step your left leg forward and then collapse down into that right shoulder joint, releasing your right ear down to your right shoulder. Visualize the right plane of your body from the right hip down to the bottom of the armpit, like the canvas on a circus tent reaching for the earth. So emotions stored like this, releasing the side planes of your body help us to release anger. I don't really know. I don't really know, but I do know that there are some places on the right, on the side planes of the body where we have tension that's stuck can cause us habitual and debilitating pain. So whether or not we're releasing stuck emotions, I think there's lots of reasons why stretching out the side planes of the body is a good thing to do. Part of my daily self-care, I do core work every day, and I use a stability ball for the core work. And while I've got it out, I do a side bend under the stability ball. So that stability ball is supporting up around the hip and lower back area. Everything else is basically floating free and reaching down for the earth. And that for me has put a stop to that lower back pain related to QL. All right, start lifting your neck back up to neutral. Lift your rib cage back into neutral. Press, that means it's going to mean pressing into that right forearm more. Step your left leg back and then lower down to the earth. Roll over onto the other side. I'm going to do a little break dance to get there just for demonstration purposes. Find that modified side plank on the left, floating your left shoulder over your left elbow. Step your right foot forward and then slump into that left shoulder socket. Release your left ear to left shoulder. Release your left rib cage down in the general direction of the earth. Start to let the texture of the breath soften a little bit, and maybe even the cadence of the breath soften. We're going to take an opportunity to start to transition to our final resting shape, starting with the breath from this position. Right. Press into your left forearm so you can lift your left rib cage, lift your head up to neutral, step your right leg back, and then make your way into any final resting shape on your seat, your belly, your back, or your side. So I'm going to use uh, a resting pose here, but any final resting shape. Come back to a comfortable, natural breath and try to balance the two tandem qualities of relaxation and alertness. This has been a very short resting position, so you could choose to ignore every other cue that I give and close out your practice in exactly this shape. Or you can start to deepen the breath, feeling for fullness on each inhale and a sense of completion on each exhale. And maybe start to reanimate the body with movement. So maybe that means starting with small movements, wiggling the fingers and the toes. And if those small movements were pleasing and your body wants more, from small to medium movements, maybe that's rotating your hands at the wrists, your feet at the ankles. And you can transition from medium to large movements. Maybe that's a full body stretch. Or if you've got a bend in the knees and the soles of the feet on the earth, maybe that's dropping your knees from side to side. And then eventually roll over onto either side, find a child sleeping pose, just a fetal position. So check in on two things. What's the sense of the quality of the sensation in the tissues, especially in the side planes of the body? Maybe a little bit more space there now than when we started. What's the quality of your nervous system too? And then press yourself up into a seated position, maybe on a block, maybe without a block, maybe hands at heart center, or you could certainly do anything else that you preferred with your hands as well. Thank you, friends, for trusting me to guide you through the practice today. It means so much to me. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. And may you know peace. If you move to do so, draw your thumbs to the space between your eyebrows. Blessings to you and your family. And that concludes our practice for today. Great job, friends. Again, I'm Chris. I'm from Transformation Nation Yoga and Wellness. Thank you for joining us for this gentle vinyasa practice. I hope these practices are adding value to your life. You're doing amazing in your practice. Just keep going.